Hey, my name is Jonah Fox, and today I want to talk to you about tongue blocking and tongue blocking techniques that only tongue block players can use that you're probably missing out on. You might know that tongue blocking is another way of playing a single note on your harmonica. But did you know that there are secret harmonica skills that are limited to tongue blocking players? I didn't, and learning how to tongue block and use these various skills could really revolutionize the way that you personally play, and I want you to know about them. In today's video, I will teach you how to play in the tongue blocking armature, because we need to start there, and I'm going to go into detail on how to use the most impressive and useful skill, which is slaps and pulls. First of all, what is tongue blocking and why should you bother to learn it? Well, think about it like this. To pucker or lip purse, you're going to be using your lips to make a small chamber of air that you can breathe through that is going to match up with the small hole of your harmonica. For tongue blocking, the approach is very different. You're just going to take your tongue and you're going to block the holes that you don't want to play. That's all you're going to do. There are different reasons why this is worth learning, especially if you already know how to play single notes. So let me go over the pros and cons, okay? For the pros, tongue blocking can improve your tone by expanding the air chamber in your mouth. I'll let you listen for the difference. Here's puckering. Here's tongue blocking. Now, without doing any extra techniques, my tone is a lot more deeper and more full, and it's also just louder because your tongue is down and out of the way, which is expanding the chamber in your mouth. Another thing that's really great about it is that it's easy on your muscles. I hate how tired your lips get when you're working on the puckering armature, and this is a way to be done with that feeling forever because it's very easy in your mouth. The biggest reason, however, to try is the techniques that you get access to. Now, the most useful one is slaps and pulls, which give each note more character and nuance and also a really useful rhythmic effect. And we're going to talk more about this later. Now, this is the main advantage of playing in this style, but there's other skills that you should be aware of as well, like flutters, which is like a lot of slaps and pulls over and over again, or you have split chords, which is where your tongue is going in the middle of the comb, so you have notes on either side of your tongue playing out, and it's going to make your chords be a little bit more pronounced. And there's mutes and other things you can do as well. Now, some of these skills can be used in a pinch by puckering players, like the flutters, just because it's just a quick technique that you can figure out. So I'm going to cover the splits and the flutters and some other things in a different video, and the one I really want to focus on today is the slaps and pulls. Now, for the cons, and there definitely are some, you can't play as fast when you're tongue blocking. So if you're playing the same hole repeatedly, you have to stop the airflow with your throat or with slaps and pulls. But if you are playing in the puckering style, you can go a lot faster. Now, I don't think this is a real negative because often you're moving horizontally on your harmonica, so it just becomes kind of a non-issue. It's never held me back, but something to be aware of. Another thing is that because this is less intuitive, it may be a little bit longer of a learning process than learning how to pucker, but again, there's no musculature you have to develop, so that could be a good thing. And finally, bending starts to rely entirely on your tongue, which may or may not be a good thing for you. It was good for me, but I don't know about you. I commonly see players that when they're learning tongue blocking, they say that it feels like they're starting over from the beginning, especially when it comes to knowing how to bend. While that feeling doesn't last forever, I just want you to be aware that some people have that experience. I know for me, when I started tongue blocking, things actually started to make sense and click, but you know, you're a different person, so I don't know how it's going to work out for you. Just be aware that it's going to be different in a multitude of ways. Let's break this skill down and jump over to this diagram. Now in this picture, you can see that you place your tongue to the harmonica covering hole 3 if you want to play hole 4. Now when you do this, you are effectively blocking all of the low holes as well. If your mouth is only wide enough to play holes 1 through 4, and your tongue is blocking holes 1 through 3, and the high notes are being blocked by being past your lips, you're only going to be able to play hole 4. You can really use any part of your tongue when you are playing like this, but I usually use the very tip of my tongue. I'll show you right here. Okay, I place that to the left of the note that I want to play. And then I pull the harmonica to my mouth, of course. If you do it correctly, only a single note will play. I'm going to show you some specifics about using your tongue. Now, you can use any part of your tongue technically, but I usually use the very tip of my tongue. So, very tip right here, I'm going to show you. That part is going to go to the left of the hole that I want to play. And then when you bring the harmonica close, you should just have one note ring out. Now, when you are learning this, you might be confused about the angle of your tongue and where on the tongue it's hitting. I wouldn't stress about it too much. In general, your tongue is kind of shifting over to the left a little bit because you think about it, you're blocking the holes to the left. So kind of like that. And you should also be aware that even though you're using the tip of your tongue most of the time, sometimes you're going to change that. When I play double stops, which are 2-note chords, I often will use the top surface of my tongue, so right here. And I'm doing that because I need to block more holes often because I'm widening my embouchure to play these larger chords. When I play full chords, I take my tongue off entirely. When you're using your tongue to block holes, you might be a little bit confused on how many holes you're actually intending to block. And in reality, you're really blocking all of them. It looks like this. I'll put the link to the video where that comes from down in the description. Here's another view at tongue blocking from David Barrett's MRI studies. This is exactly what your tongue would look like inside your mouth. The last tip I want to give you is that when you tongue block, you are not pushing your tongue on the harmonica. You're just placing it there. You shouldn't feel any strain or fatigue in your tongue. If you do, you're doing it wrong. An easy way to practice this, even without a harmonica, is to get used to pressing your tongue to your lower set of teeth, and looking in a mirror can help this too. So like this. You have to develop this ability to know where your tongue is inside of your mouth, and you could do it. You'll learn how to speak, so this is easy in comparison. When you are ready to try this, I want you to pick a hole to play like 4 blow and attempt to tongue block holes 3 and 2 and 1, but really you're going to focus on hole 3 with the tip of your tongue, okay? We're going to block those holes and pull the harmonica close, and you should be able to hear just 4 blow coming out. If you can't, or you need to work on this, I suggest you use my conscious repetition exercise, which goes a little bit like this. You have the harmonica away from your face. You're pulling it up to your face. You form your embouchure, you play a note. Now, if it goes well and you did it, well, then just keep repeating it enough where you know it's going to be reliable. If you did it incorrectly, as in you can hear some other holes playing through, then you got to stop. Recognize what problem are you making and try to fix it. And there's a couple things that you can try, like you can tip your harmonica down a little bit, or you can turn your harmonica a little bit to the side, like the right side of your harmonica can go to your right cheek. Sometimes that helps me as well. So these are just some things that you can try. There's only so much that I can teach you about this because the mechanics are really individual to your specific mouth and tongue, and there's nothing I can tell you that's going to make this click for you aside from you just trying it and repeating it over and over. And if you make a mistake, like we said earlier, you're just going to keep doing this. You're going to keep fixing it until you get it right, and then you're going to repeat the right note over and over again, okay? We want to make this reliable, and just like how puckering can be reliable over the course of a couple weeks and a couple months, tongue blocking blocking can be the same as well. Now, once you can block a note reliably, things get a little bit more interesting. I want to show you the techniques that will be the main focus for today, which is going to be slaps and pulls. Now, this refers to the ability to quickly place your tongue on the harmonica. That's a slap. And quickly pulling it off is a pull. For reference, let me play something without slaps and pulls. Here's with slaps and pulls. It adds a lot to your sound, and we'll get into the specifics in a second because I want to break down what's happening. This is a little bit complicated, and I want to go through all the steps. So when you slap a note, you are blocking a hole quickly, right? Again, you're going to be a little bit more forceful, but you're not going to strain your tongue. And what this does is it's going to mix your single note with the chords that are being blocked beneath it. Now, this creates a nice blend of chords and single notes, but it does a couple other things as well, like accenting your note. And this gets even more interesting when you add a pull right after your slap note. So remember, a slap is when you go on, and a pull is when you go off. So I'm doing a slap and a pull. Now you can hear every time I'm doing that, we're repeating that note. This means this is another way to re-articulate notes, okay? You don't have to stop your airflow. You can just place your tongue on, lift it off, tongue on, tongue off. Once you get the hang of this, you can use it all the time if you want. Just start by adding some slaps and pulls to each note when you practice scales. Now, if you don't know what to play, check out my free scale cheat sheet download to get all of the notes. The link is down in the description. Back to slaps and pulls. Eventually, you're going to learn to juggle all of these extra dimensions of your playing. And one really exciting element of this skill is the rhythmic percussive effect that it has. Now, this can be used in a lot of different ways. You can have a counter pulse to the way that you're actually playing, so you can have like two rhythms going on at once. You can match that pulse to the groove of a song. It's really powerful, and I'm not going to even slightly explore it in the depth that it deserves in this video, but just know that that is something that you should be focusing on as a tongue block player. I could go really deep into different exercises, but I think by now you get the picture. Slaps and pulls are a really useful technique to add more texture and a percussive rhythmic element to your playing in a way that's lacking with any other harmonica skill. And for me, this is an extra dimension to harmonica playing that I just would not want to be without. And now you know about it too. So if you decide to try this and pick it up, I wish you luck, and let me know how it goes down below in the comments, along with anything else that you want to add or other questions you want to send my way. Subscribe if you're new and hit the bell to get notifications, and watch this video next if you want to learn some more, where I will teach you about vibrato. That's it for today. I'll see you next week. Peace.